I'm J. Jermaine Bay of Melodium Morris Premium, Ante, Colorado. The acronym is AMPAC. I'm the Chief Judge of Consular Court. Today is Class 101. Class 101. What did we learn in Class 100? Well, we learned that a lot of Moors, more specifically diplomats, right, and judges, came into AMPAC's jurisdiction to celebrate the centennial of AMPAC study session. So I want to say thank you to the four competent Moroccan states that came into town, came into our new state, right? We've now turned the state of Colorado into a Moroccan state, right, through succession, right? So through Udi Passe's juris, now is no longer the state of Colorado, it's a Moroccan state, right? So four of the Moroccan states, diplomats and judges came to visit us, and at the same time we had AMPAC, which is a Lodium, Moroccan Premium, Ante, Michigan's diplomats did a video and spoke highly of me, Jay Bay, and I want to thank them as well. So we had a good time with all the diplomats being in town, and we look forward to doing that next year as well. When we have our first annual caucus meeting, right? It'll be official, that we can all come together in fellowship. We can talk about the different administrative reforms and political things that we need to do for the Empire of Morocco. So I'm looking forward to that next year, all right? So I want to say thank you very much to all the Moroccan states. But let me just say this about the diplomats who came into town. Guess what? Guess what their nationality is? Moroccans. No Moorish Americans came to visit AMPAC. None of them were Moorish Americans. They were all Moroccan nationals. That's important to understand. All right? We're all competent Moors, understanding what our true nationality is, right? And now we're starting to decolonize Morocco, right? And put things back in proper perspective, start working with the United States of America as the other contracting party, because we're all here to cohabitate in Morocco, right? So we have to learn how to cohabitate with the Americans. The Americans got to learn how to cohabitate with the Moroccans, okay? So what else did we learn in Class 100? Well, we started learning a lot more about the decolonization, right, of Timor, right? Timor-Leste, which is the Timorese people. We learned a lot about how the fact that the Indonesians tried to come and occupy the land on behalf of the United States, right? Australia was involved with that occupation as well. We learned the United Nations came in to assist those Moors on that island, right? The Timorese people. We learned that the Timorese people fought the good fight for nearly 30 years to get their independence, right? So they fought from the year 1975 up until 2002. Imagine that, right? Fighting a good fight. But what ultimately helped them prevail? Well, the first thing the Moors have to understand is Portugal was the first colonist of the land, right? Portugal and the Dutch. But the Portuguese and the Dutch relinquished their colonial hold on the land. They relinquished what's called their regime of capitulation. So Portuguese walked away, right? So good for them. And then the Indonesians came in and occupied the land, an illegal settlement, right, through use of force, right? So therefore, not only did the Timorese people have to fight to get their independence, they had to fight three groups of people. They had to fight the Indonesians, they had to fight the United States of America, and they had to fight Australia. And they were on an island with no commercial media whatsoever on that island. All the media that was there was flying in. They didn't have Fox News. They didn't have CNN, etc. They didn't have local news agencies that would tell the story of what was going on from 1975 to 2002, right? So ultimately, the people on the island got their independence because they fought for their independence. They petitioned the United Nations. The United Nations came in and assisted them. Portugal assisted, right? And ultimately, they got their independence. They wrote a competent constitution that was ratified, deposited, and promulgated in the United Nations. And eventually, they hoisted their own independent sovereign flag at the United Nations in Manhattan, New York. And while they were hoisting their flag in 2002, guess what the Moorish Americans was doing? Sending writs and affidavits, right? Totally incompetent. But yet, people on the island have more competency of understanding international law. So where did we make our mistakes as Moors? We didn't study international law, and that's what AMPAC study session has been about for 100 classes. From class 1, if you go back and remember, what is class 1 about? How did the Moors lose the land? Right? We lost it with a pen. The colonists used a pen to write us out of law and write us out of history. Okay, now how do Moors get the land back? Well, with the pen. We have to write ourselves back into history. We have to write ourselves back into legislation, right? But what type of pen? A competent pen. Well, how can you have a competent pen if you don't understand international law? So you have to have the competency in order to change your mentality, right? That's what it's all about. Coming back into a higher self. And what is about higher self? We have to understand the highest form of law is international law. There's nothing higher than international law from a legislative perspective, right? From the proper written instrument perspective. You got to come back in the higher self to understand the highest law. And that is constitutions and international law, all right? Okay, let's go ahead and get into class. All right, so as you know, AMPAC always opens up the Constitution. The Constitution is paramount. But today I'd like to give a special shout out to the Timorese people, right? We started going over this in class 99 and 100, and we went through their constitution briefly. This is the Constitution of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste, right? These are Moors, right? The Timorese people, right? So I want to give a quick shout out to them to let them know I'm very proud of them, right? They deserve a round of applause. They fought the good fight to get their independence, right? They got that in 2002. So I'm really looking forward to all the Moroccan states at some point get into state relations with the Timorese people. So I'm really looking forward to that. So I want to say thank you to the Timorese people for being competent Moors and fighting a good fight, learning how to decolonize, right? Fighting for your independence, having a competent flag, seal, constitution. You've taught the Moors a lot. And we thank you for that. And we'll look forward to getting to diplomatic relations with you at some point, all right? So also I want to say to the Moors, AMPAC is in the process of taking a lot of this information, right? The verbiage and language of this Constitution and adding it to our Constitution. If anything, we're going to adopt 90% of the language from this Constitution because it's a well-written Constitution, right? So what I've learned, Moors, over the last couple of years is that our Moroccan treaties right now are absent of a lot of administrative reforms. We need more administrative understanding of what Constitution is about, right? So we can learn a lot from not only East Timor's Constitution, but we should adopt a lot of the language and pretty much revamp our constitutions as Moors, right? Imagine that. We're learning from islanders that were so far away from the United Nations, but yet we Moors are right here where we can walk across the streets of the United Nations, but yet we got to learn how to copy, paste, and plug and play with the Moors that's on the island with their constitution, right? We're learning from them. Imagine that, right? So I want to say thank you to the Timorese people, all right? We appreciate the fact that one of these days we hope to be just like you, to decolonize. That way we can tell the whole world that the rise of the Moors is here in real time, right? That we're no longer rising, that we have actually arrived, all right? Thank you very much to the Timorese people. Okay. So as the Moors know, right now we're going over the Charter of the United Nations of 1945. Right now we're still in Chapter 6. We're still dealing with Article 33 about the settlement of disputes. Okay, it's very important to understand. We've been trying to settle the dispute of nationality, settle the dispute of understanding how do we declare our independence, settle the dispute of how do we go about having a competent constitution, settle the disputes of understanding how do we get into working relations with the United States of America, right? How do we enforce our Moroccan laws against them? Well, you enforce your Moroccan laws against them by the consular court, but you can't have a consular court without a government. You can't have a government without a state. You can't have a state without a constitution. So we have to understand these building blocks, right? So now that we're at this stage here of Article 33, now we start to understand, okay, how do we enforce our laws, not only against the United States of America, but how do we get into working relations with other Moors, right? Because Moors will tell you in a minute, I don't come under the jurisdiction of the United States of America, right? That's what Moors are saying, right? Okay, my question to the Moors is, then who has jurisdiction over you? Because everybody on planet Earth has a state constitution and laws that govern them. Everybody on planet Earth. So the Moors have to understand we're reigning in the order so we can govern the affairs of Moors, which means we also have to abide by Moroccan law. just as much as we want the colonists to abide by Moroccan law, guess what? Moors have to abide by Moroccan law as well. We have to be people that are about the law. Because we keep saying we're the lawgivers. Okay, then where's the law that governs us, right? We want to govern everybody, but yet it appears as though Moors don't want to be governed. Well, that's a fantasy. Because Moors will be governed. I will be governed. I will live by the laws of the Constitution. I will live by the Moroccan laws of my state. I will live by the laws of international law. We will all be governed by laws, Moors, and that's the truth, okay? So we're going to talk about that today. How do we deal with not only enforcing our rights against the United States of America, but how do we rein in the order of Moors so that we can work together and start understanding standard operating procedures? How do we understand, how do we sit at a round table and get into negotiations with each other, right? So we have to learn how to not only negotiate with the United States of America, we got to learn how to negotiate with each other. And how do we do that in a competent way, right? So we'll learn more about that today, okay? All right. As I'm still building up, we're still talking about this Declaration of Intervention. We'll learn more about that in the next few classes to come up. We've been talking about genocide, the Declaration of Intervention that the United States of America wrote. We'll learn more about that. But right now we've been talking about we need a Declaration of Intervention amongst Moors. That's where we have to start. We have to start with our house, right? We already know the mission and vision on what to deal with the colonists. But how do we deal with each other as family? And you know and I know the biggest arguments you're getting with is who? Family. You know, spouse, best friend, you know, mom, dad, brother, sister, uncle, auntie. You argue with the people that's closest with you than you do the people that's so-called strangers. Right? So let's learn how to get back into love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice amongst each other. Right? Okay, so we'll talk about that more today, about a Declaration of Intervention, or how we come in as mediators amongst each other. Okay? All right. Okay, what do I have up here? This is called the Convention in the Empire of Morocco, the Wazir Regional Council. I've talked about this briefly in the past, right? What I'd like to tell all the Moors at this time is that this particular convention is in full force and effect at this time, meaning that it has power in the Empire of Morocco. What am I talking about? You see, all the heads of states, 6 states, came together and put together a convention, what's called a regional agency, right? All the Moroccan states came together, right, at one round table to put together a regional agency. That way all the heads of state can come together to talk about the administrative reforms that we need to do for the Empire of Morocco. All right, so what happened? Okay, let's go back to the charter, okay? And the charter talks about what? Article 33, it says, Article 33, number 1, the parties to any dispute, the continuance of which is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security, shall, first of all, seek a solution by negotiations, inquiry, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, judicial settlement, and regional agencies, right? In order to settle disputes with either colonists or settle disputes amongst Moors. So what's happened? Okay. So this is a convention, okay? No different than a treaty, right? It's an arrangement. So therefore, 6 Moroccan states got together to put together a treaty somewhat, a convention, an arrangement amongst 6 Moroccan states. That way we can get back into the competency. That way we can start moving the ball forward to not only decolonize Morocco, but also to organize Morocco. We must do both. If we decolonize, but yet we're not organized, then we just create what? Chaos. Right? So we can't decolonize, but yet we have no structure put in place on how to not only govern Moors, but govern the affairs of Americans. So we have to put the brightest minds together. We got to put the heads of state together. Okay, we'll talk about that today. So I want to say congratulations to all the Moors from the East Coast to the West Coast, because the competent Moroccan Moors and the heads of state have come together at a round table to start figuring out what we need to do about administrative reforms in order to organize our affairs in the Empire of Morocco, okay? In the Empire of Morocco, okay? We're going to talk about this more, okay? So the Wazir Regional Council, and these are the seals, okay? This is pretty cool, isn't it? All right, check it out. Okay, here we go. This is the seal for the Wazir Regional Council, which is an organization. Let me say that for the record. It is an organization of heads of states coming to a round table. So what established the Wazir Regional Council? What actually established it? It was all the heads of state came together to establish this convention, all right? So organic Moroccan states established an intergovernmental organization. That way they can all come to a round table and start to speak from one voice. All of them came together. That way now they can start to get into what's called diplomatic relations with the United States International Organization. Listen to me. The United States has an international organization. Now the Moors have an international organization. All the heads of states now will convene through this convention. That way they can speak directly to the United States International Organization. So it's organization on organization communication. All right? Okay, listen. So this is the seal that represents the Wazir Regional Council, okay? We'll talk about that. Also, here's a seal. It's the Regional Supreme Court in the Empire of Morocco. That's the seal for the Supreme Court. That's a regional court. We'll talk about that, okay? Because there's no use in having Moroccan laws if you have no courts. How else are you going to enforce a convention if you don't have no court to enforce it, okay? But check this out, Morris. Isn't that cool? All right, let's talk about this. That's the seal. Looks very rustic, right? It's beautiful. It's rustic looking. It looks ancient. So I want to say thank you to the good brother Hakeem Bey at AMPAC, right? Elodie Morris Prairie, Ponte, Georgia. Good looking out, your brother Hakeem. So it's beautiful, right? So that's the seal for the Wazir Regional Council. And here's the seal for the Regional Supreme Court in the Empire of Morocco. So this court will oversee the entire Empire of Morocco whenever Moors have a dispute with Moors. This court is not technically designed to deal with the United States of America. Only consular court can enforce laws against the United States of America. But this court will help govern affairs between Moroccan states, okay? All right, so that court will oversee all these seals are all states. That's 6 states, okay? So one of these states has a dispute with the other, they can petition the Regional Supreme Court to come in and help settle a dispute between 2 Moroccan states. You see what's happening? We're starting to organize ourselves, okay? That way we can settle disputes, Moors, okay? All right, so as you can see, that's 6 states. That's 6 states that are right now members of the Wazir Regional Council. We're really looking forward to other Moors establishing their states in each of the territories, such as New York, California, right? All the states, 50 plus territories, all the territories the United States of America has colonized need to be restored into a Moroccan state. At some point, we'll look forward to having 50 Moroccan states, and their head of state, right, which is the Wazir head of state, will have a seat at the Wazir Regional Council. Right now, there's only 6 heads of state. Pretty soon, we'll have 50 plus heads of state, right? 50 plus heads of state. Just a moment, let me give you a visual. You see how the United States has, when they meet, right, in the Senate or Congress, all the legislators sit here. But the Wazir Regional Council about heads of state, so all the heads of state will sit in a venue where they can all start to negotiate and talk about how to organize the Empire of Morocco. How do we deal with the United States of America, and how do we deal with Moors? More on more problems, right? So that's an image that one day we will have this type of setting. Someday, it's coming, right? But we'll never get there if we don't start to organize now. Okay, so going back to it. So once we have a lot of states, at some point we'll have a venue where we'll meet. We'll have caucus meetings, maybe quarterly or annually, where we all come together, right? And we sit together and we talk about foreign policy. We talk about laws, right? We talk about how we get into trade and commerce, not only with the United States of America, but also other states on planet Earth. But we have to bring the heads of state together to talk about these things, okay? So right now we've got these beautiful seals. Obviously everybody's familiar with AMPAC seal. So you got AMPAC, then you've got New Mecca, which is Ante, Oregon, right? So you got Allodium, Moist, Pradium, Ante, Mecca. And then you've got AMPAC, which is Ante, Georgia, Allodium, Moist, Pradium, Ante, Georgia. That's their seal that represents their state, okay? Then you've got Meru State Republic, Great Seal. So that's for Ante, Indiana. That's their seal that represents their state, okay? So this is how we're representing each other more. It's not about you standing there somewhere talking about you representing your own rights and you're independent more. No. Now we're coming together. You derive your rights through the state. The seal represents you and all the Moors of that state. Okay, so now we got up here, we've got AMPAM, all right, which is Allodium, Moroccan Pradium, Ante, Michigan. Okay, that's their seal for their state, okay? And then we've got Diadementus, Allodium, Morocco, Prius, Texas, right? So that's Ante, Texas seal, okay? So these are the 6 states that are member states of the Wazir Regional Council. These are heads of state that's coming together to talk about the affairs of the empire. And we look forward to this growing over a period of time, right? So this is very exciting news, Morris. We're making history with this. I'll say again, we're making history. It's probably been over 200 years since the Moors came together in a competent way to have our Moorish governments represented by statehood. This is very important, Moors. We're making history here, okay? We're reigning in the order of the empire, all right? Okay, so like I said, this is what we will achieve one day, all of us sitting together, okay? Now, the WRC has a chairman. The chairman was voted in. His good brother Abdul Smith Bey of AMPAC, Allodium, Moorish, Pradium, Ante, Georgia, and the heads of state, right, at the Wazir Regional Council. At the Wazir Regional Council, all these states agreed and elected, they voted for the chairman, right? We're doing things by vote, not by self-appointment. No more self-appointment in the Empire of Morocco. And your brother Abdul Smith Bey of AMPAC has now been voted as the chairman of the Wazir Regional Council. So I want to say congratulations, dear brother Abdul Smith Bey. You've earned it, brother. You've been studying, right? You're very competent, Moor, and we believe in you, brother. So dear brother Abdul Smith Bey will be the speaker of the Wazir Regional Council, all right? So all the other heads of states will meet with Abdul, and Abdul will speak on behalf of all our Moroccan states on a case-by-case basis, right? So he'll come in as a mediator to deal with disputes between Moroccan states, or he'll come in sometimes as a mediator to deal with a Moroccan state dispute and dealing with the United States of America, right? As mediator, that's what the WRC, right? The WRC is all about, okay? So we refer to it as the WRC, okay? So the WRC will come in as mediators to work between Moroccan states, and they'll come in as mediators to deal between a Moroccan state and let's say the state of Alabama, right? To come in as mediators to help for us to settle disputes, okay? We'll talk about more about this more in the future, all right? Okay. So one of the responsibilities of the chairman of the WRC, right, WRC Wazir Regional Council, is to come in and help deal with disputes, okay, between Moors. That's what we've always needed in order to settle disputes, to rein in the order, okay? So why is all this important? Okay. When you start understanding that we as Moors are not technically used to governing each other, but yet it's something we will have to learn how to do. We already know how to do it, right? We work with each other all the time. We've lived in the same house with each other, family, right? But at some point, sometimes you will need someone to come in and have some authority to deal with settling the dispute. Versus you saying, well, who is that? They don't get to tell me what to do. Well, those days are coming to an end. Moors will be governed. And we will appreciate being governed because we will want to settle disputes all the time. Trust me when I tell you, grown-ups have disputes all the time. You need someone to come in and settle it. So dear Brother Abdul will be the speaker to help deal with mediation between Moroccan states, Moors, Moor, and then Moor states in the United States of America, okay? All right, so first of all, this is what I like to say. Right here, I got a 20-minute video, okay? As the Moors are learning, you have to ratify, deposit, and promulgate law, right? Ratify, deposit, and promulgate, okay? So I've got a 20-minute video to show you that your Brother Abdul, along with the other heads of state, are promulgating the WRC, right? What does promulgation mean? They're now proclaiming it out loud and putting it on the record as well, okay? Now, before I show the video, let me show you this. Okay, so the WRC, when AMPAC used its constitutional procedures to ratify, deposit, and promulgate, these are the steps we took, okay? In order to now allow the WRC to come into full force and effect in order for it to be able to be enforced in accordance to international law, okay, and in accordance to your own Moroccan state. So what do we have to do? Okay, well first, it was signed at Alodia Morris Pradium, Auntie, Colorado on January 30th, 2023 by all the heads of state, right? The negotiating states signed it first, okay? And it was signed in the jurisdiction of AMPAC, Alodia Morris Pradium, Auntie, Colorado, that's right now acting like the seat, right? The capital of it all, okay? Like the United States has the District of Columbia, right now the WRC is located in AMPAC's jurisdiction. That must be understood, okay? So all the heads of states signed an agreement to say they were signing it. The WRC signed X, Alodia Morris Pradium, Auntie, Colorado, on January 30th, 2023. Why is that important to understand is number one. Because any convention, any treaty, any arrangement must be signed in a jurisdiction. And it's the jurisdiction that has jurisdiction over a document. What do I mean? It wasn't signed in the United States of America. It was signed in the jurisdiction of Morocco. Well, how do we know it was signed in the jurisdiction of Morocco? What's the reference point? How can we prove it? It's because Alodia Morris Pradium, Auntie, Colorado has a ratified, deposited, and promulgated constitution that's on the record with the United Nations in accordance to Article 102. So therefore, the land, the soil, the jurisdiction is in Morocco and not in the United States of America. So this convention is signed amongst Moroccans in Morocco, the Empire of Morocco, a part of the empire, right? AMPAC does not claim to be the empire. It was just a small location where the building or the seat is located. It's just a building thing, right? The building, okay? All right, so number two, the Wazir Regional Council was ratified by the House of Wazir on March 30th, 2023, right? So our Sayyidah Raha, our House of Wazir, right? The legislators, which is the matriarchs, right? So our matriarchs signed through the House a legislative bill and signed it, ratified it on March 30th. So let me say this for the record. if the House, the legislative House, did not accept the Wazir Regional Convention, then the convention would not have power today. What do I mean? The convention first started off as a bill, right? It first started off as a bill. The convention started off as a bill, then it was signed into law, right? It was signed into law by the mothers. So in AMPAC's jurisdiction, our Speaker of the House, or the House of Wazir, signed off on the bill and allowed the convention to be ratified through the House, right? So the mother signed it first. Then after that, it was passed over to the executive branch so the head of state could sign it and ratify it into internal law. Then it was deposited with the United Nations, okay? So we're talking about these steps, okay? So first, the convention was signed in Lodi Morris Prairie, Monte, Colorado on January 30th, 2023. Then it was ratified by the House of Wazir on March 30th, 2023, which is the mothers coming together to sign it of AMPAC's jurisdiction. Number 3, ratified by the Wazir Arez, which is the head of state, on March 30th, 2023, bringing it into full law within the state. And then it was deposited. The convention was deposited with the United Nations Secretariat on April 14, 2023. Then number 5, then the convention was deposited with the Wazir Regional Council on April 14, 2023. So it was also deposited with the WRC members, okay? Number 6, the convention entered into full force and effect on April 14, 2023. All right, so now it has full powers. Why? Because it was ratified, deposited, and promulgated in accordance to international law. Now it can be recognized as having full powers and effect, right? Then last but not least, it was promulgated. Number 7, it was promulgated by the Wazir Arez on April 26, 2023. So the head of state made all the nationals be aware that this law exists now, okay? This is what you call a Circle 7 state of facts regarding ratification. It started off with a bill, then it turned into legislation. And every Moroccan state had to check all these 7 boxes. So all these Moroccan states, let me show it to you. All of these states, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states, right? All of them had to check those 7 boxes to make it law. So I want to say thank you very much to all the Sayarahas of each one of these states, right? All 6 of these states, to the Sayaraha, the Speaker of the House, the Matriarchal Council, legislative branch. I want to say thank you very much to all of the Lil Aziz, right? Which the associate legislators, because without them actually agreeing to the Wazir Regional Council convention, then there will be no convention. So the mothers had to approve it first before the heads of states could sign it into law. That must be understood. So I want to say thank you to the mothers. Thank you very much. All right? Okay. All right. So now that it's been promulgated, now we have a video to show further proof that it's been promulgated, meaning it's a proclamation that it exists, all right? So let's take 20 minutes, all right? Be patient with me. It's a 20-minute video. The chairman will read it out loud, okay? This is not on YouTube yet. This is a private, but we'll put it on the public WRC YouTube channel once we have that channel up and going, okay? All right, just a moment. It's 20 minutes.
Peace and love to all of humanity. I am Abdul Smith Bey, the chairman of the WRC and head of state of Lodi Morris Parade, Ante, Georgia. Today we'll be reading over a proclamation to the President, Mr. Joseph Biden Jr., of the President of the United States and the President of the United States of America. Before we begin, I would like to have the members state the heads of state of the Wazir Regional Council to introduce themselves, beginning with Lodi Morris Parade, Ante, Colorado.
This is Dion Andre Behe, Wazir, Prime Minister from Lodi Morris Parade, Ante, Colorado.
This is Amir Fanel from New Mecca. This is Akil Zafan Yazim Bey, Wazir of the Morocco State Republic.
Islam, I am Mia Moore Bey, AMPAC Wazir.
I'm Kendi Bey, Wazir Arez, Prime Minister Adia Mintez, Delora, Morocco, Prius, Texas.
Islam. And these are the 6 recognized Wazirs of the Wazir Regional Council. Today is April 26th, and I shall begin reading this proclamation. Wazir Regional Council, regional Moroccan organization in the Empire of Morocco. Proclamation, friendly relations during decolonization in the Moorish Empire. Greetings to the Empire of Morocco and to the United States of America. I am Abdul Smith Bey, the elected chairman and speaker of the Wazir Regional Council. The collective heads of state have made tremendous advancements in statehood amongst recognized provincial Moroccan states since February 28, 2021, in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations of 1945, Chapter 11. The collective Moorish sovereign states are proud to proclaim that the state of Alodia Moorish Palladium, Ante, Colorado, the state of Alodia Moorish Palladium of New Mecca, the state of Alodia Moorish Palladium, Ante, Georgia, the state of Morocco State Republic, the state of Alodia Moroccan Palladium, Ante, Michigan, and the state of Via de Mentis, Lorium, Morocco, Prius, Texas, have ratified, deposited, and promulgated a regional intergovernmental organization hereby known as the Convention in the Empire of Morocco Wazir Regional Council, noting that the convention is also known as the Wazir Regional Council or the WRC. Whereas the Wazir Regional Council Convention was deposited by all 6 Moorish states on or before April 24, 2023, in conformity with their constitutional procedures. Scroll, please. Procedures, and in accordance with Articles 1B, 33, 55, 73, and 102 of the Charter of the United Nations. Wherefore, the Convention in the Empire of Morocco Wazir Regional Council entered into full force and effect on April 24, 2023, and hereby proclaimed on April 26, 2023. Wherefore, the Wazir Regional Council members heretofore recognize the convention as having full force and effect throughout the Empire of Morocco. Moreover, the Wazir Regional Council is open to all other recognized sovereign Moorish states and their heads of state, in conformity with the terms and conditions of the WRC Convention, inter alia. Recognizing that the Wazir Regional Council shall be committed to instituting resolutions regarding political, administrative, judicial, economic, social, cultural, and military reforms to help set forth standard operating procedures and strict accountability among the interdependent Moorish governments, in accordance with the customary norms of international law, and in conformity with the various treaties, conventions, and arrangements made or which shall be made with the United States of America and other peace-loving states around planet Earth. Recognizing that collective Moroccan states created the concept of the Wazir Regional Council Convention as a multilateral agreement to assist native Moors with decolonization in each of the non-self-governing territories throughout the Moroccan Empire. Recalling that the native Moors' right to self-determination is founded on well-settled principles of human rights, Moroccan nationality, and the repatriation clause expressed in the Multilateral Madrid Convention of July 3, 1880, Article 15, Paragraph 1, as follows. Article 15, quote unquote, quote, any subject of Morocco who has been naturalized in a foreign country and who shall return to Morocco shall, after having remained for a length of time equal to that which shall have been regularly necessary for him to obtain such naturalization, choose between entire submission to the laws of the empire and the obligation to quit Morocco, unless it shall be proved that his naturalization in a foreign country was obtained with the consent of the government of Morocco. End quote. Recognizing further that the Act of Algeciras, preamble of April 7, 1906, solidified the sovereign equal rights for the Moorish Empire and its Moorish governments in each of the territories to restore their independence by three simple pre-entry norms as follows. 1. Sovereignty and independence. 2. Integrity of domains. And 3. Economic liberty without any inequality. Furthermore, the WRC Convention also derives its self-governance rights from the customary norms of international law and the guiding principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations of 1945, Article 33, Paragraph 1, as follows. Quote, the parties to any dispute, the continuance of which is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security, shall first of all seek a solution by negotiation, inquiry, mediation, conciliation, arbitration, judicial settlement, resort to regional agencies or arrangements, peaceful means of their own choice. End of quote. Whereas the WRC Convention shall serve as a regional agency, intergovernmental organization, and representative on case-by-case basis to help arrange peaceful means and security between the interdependent Moroccan states during our varying stages of advancement, and to assist in the settlement of disputes when dealing with the United States of America, the United States International Organization, and its foreign union states, municipalities, corporations, persons, and aliens throughout the Moorish Empire. Affirming that the elected and appointed officials of the Wazir Regional Council are heretofore the competent authority of the Convention and have full powers to carry out its provisions throughout the Moorish Empire. The region shall include, but not be limited to, each recognized self-governing Moroccan state territory and each non-self-governing seeking assistance to decolonize by declaring independence and depositing a competent constitution inter alia. Whereas the Wazir Regional Council is committed to reestablishing an organized dual society to bring together the interdependent provincial Moroccan states to be known as the United States of Morocco. Moreover, the Wazir Regional Council and its multiple heads of state are determined to bring the various provincial states together and eventually draft a constitution for the United States of Morocco and reestablish a centralized Moorish government on behalf of the native Moors and their provincial state governments. In the meantime, the Wazir Regional Council shall serve as a centralized body politic or intergovernmental organization for all the heads of state to convene together at a round table to begin the arduous task of restoring the Empire of Morocco, one colonized territory at a time. It is important to note that the native Moroccans and their de jure Moorish governments shall no longer acquiesce or consent to the privileged and limited civil and criminal extraterritoriality jurisdiction imposed by the de facto regime of the United States Intergovernmental Organization and its foreign chartered states, nor will the Moors capitulate, come under a protectorate status of the foreign United States of America, reaffirming that Moroccan nationals are no longer naturalized Moorish subjects or proteges in a foreign country. Convinced that friendly applications and mechanisms of decolonization are being instituted by Moroccan legislation and enforced by the competent consular courts of each Moorish state government to usher in a new governmental regime in an old land. Whereas each of the sovereign Moroccan states' competent consular courts has ordered the end of colonialism and the end of any alleged extraterritorial jurisdiction imposed by the United States of America, the United States, its chartered states, and municipalities. Wherefore the interdependent Moorish sovereign states shall combine their full powers and continue to seek cooperation with the so-called administrative colonial regime during the decolonization phase as expressed in the United Nations Charter, Article 73, as follows. Quote, members of the United Nations, which have or assume responsibilities for the administration of territories whose peoples have not yet attained a full measure of self-government, recognize the principle that the that the interests of the inhabitants of these territories are paramount, and accept as a sacred trust the obligation to promote to the utmost within the system of international peace and security established by the present charter, the well-being of the inhabitants of these territories, and to this end, A, to ensure with due respect for the culture of the peoples concerned, their political, economic, social, and educational advancement, their just treatment, and their protection against abuses. B, to develop self-government, to take due account of the political aspirations of the peoples, and to assist them in the progressive development of their free political institutions, according to the particular circumstances of each territory and its peoples, and their varying stages of advancement. C, to further international peace and security. D, to promote constructive measures of development, to encourage research, and to cooperate with one another, and when and where appropriate, with specialized international bodies with a view to the practical achievement of the social, economic, and scientific purposes set forth in this article. And E, to transmit regularly to the Secretary General for information purposes, subject to such limitation as security and constitutional considerations may require, statistical and other information of a technical nature relating to economic, social, and educational conditions in the territories of which they are respectively responsible, other than those territories to which Chapter 12 and 13 apply. End of quote. Whereas colonialism is coming to a speedy end by acts of Moorish state successions as a natural corollary with the peremptory norms of international law just cogence, and in conformity with the ordinary methods of uti possidetis juris norms throughout the Empire of Morocco. It is furthermore important to note that the United States of America is in fact and truth a foreign but privileged dependent state in the Empire of Morocco. However, the United States is not recognized as being a state, but in fact and truth, the United States is an international organization doing business in the Empire of Morocco. Nonetheless, the United States of America, the United States, and its several chartered states shall now come under the jurisdiction of the Moorish governments and the competent consular courts throughout the Empire of Morocco. Speaking of the competent consular court, the United States of America, the United States International Organization, and its charter states shall be bound to the International Court of Justice, case concerning the rights of nationals of the United States of America in Morocco, judgment of August 27, 1952, page 202, as follows. Quote, in the absence of any treaty provisions dealing with this matter, it has been contended that a right of assent can be based on customs, usage, or practice. It is unnecessary to repeat the reasons which have been given for rejecting custom, usage, and practice as a basis for extended consular jurisdiction, and which are largely applicable to the right of assent. It is, however, necessary to point out that the very large number of instances in which Moroccan laws will refer to the United States authorities can readily be explained as a convenient way of ensuring their incorporation in ministerial decrees binding upon the consular courts. In that way, and in that way only, could these laws be made enforceable against the United States nationals, so long as the extended consular jurisdiction was being exercised. End of quote. For these reasons, stated above by the Honorable International Court of Justice in 1952, the foreign United States of America, the United States, and the several chartered states shall be subject to Moroccan law, and all final rulings made by the competent consular court, decrees, orders, judgments, and advisory opinions as a natural corollary to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of September 16, 1836, Articles 20 and 21 inter alia, wherefore anything contrary notwithstanding as follows. Quote, Article 20. If any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the Council shall decide between the parties, and whenever the Council shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decision, it shall be immediately granted to him. Quote. Quote, Article 21. If a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered, the consul assisting at the trial, and if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. End of quote. Therefore, the competent consular court in each of the Moorish state territories shall be entitled to settle any disputes. 1. Between a Moorish state and the United States of America. 2. Between a Moorish state and the United States. 3. Between a Moorish national and a person of the United States. 4. Between a Moor and a foreign corporation, municipality, or association. 5. Between a Moorish state and a foreign chartered state. 6. Between two or more states. And 7. This list is not exhaustive. Recognizing further that the Wazir Regional Council has established a ratified, deposited, and promulgated judiciary hereby known as the statutes of the Regional Supreme Court, also known as the RSC, to assist in the enforcement of the Convention of the Wazir Regional Council among Moroccan member states and Moroccan non-member states. Take note that the Regional Supreme Court is in full force and effect in accordance with the customary norms of international law. Wherefore, the judiciary will help settle contentious disputes between the Moorish member states and any non-member Moorish states for the purpose of peace and security throughout the Empire of Morocco. Reaffirming further that the Wazir Regional Council is open to other peace-loving Moroccan states and their heads of state in the obtainment of recognition by the Wazir Regional Council. The Wazir Regional Council has instituted a model instrument for non-self-governing territories to achieve competent state status. Recognition shall be conducted by a fair and equitable vote between the member states. Any non-self-governing territory seeking Moorish state status must conform to the ordinary methods of international law and the terms and conditions of the WRC Convention in order to be recognized as a competent provincial Moroccan state. In conclusion, it is imperative that the foreign United States of America, the United States International Organization, and its several union states, inter alia, conform with the ordinary methods of international law to settle any disputes regarding the ratified, deposited, and promulgated bilateral Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1836, the Multilateral Madrid Convention of 1880, the Multilateral Act of Algeciras of 1906, the Charter of the United Nations of 1945, and the Statutes of the International Court of Justice of 1946, inter alia. Wherefore, our declarations of independence and our collective ratified, deposited, and promulgated Moorish constitutions shall secure our human rights, the right to self-determination, the rights of indigenous peoples, and the right to self-governance, and ensure friendly relations via the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations of 1961, the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations of 1963, the Vienna Convention of the Law of Treaties of 1969, and the Customs of Consular Notification and Access Requirements. The full force and effect contracts mentioned above shall be adhered to without the prior assent of the United States of America or the United States, while the Moorish Empire is being decolonized without any interruption. Lastly, may the journalists of the world take notice and cover the competent rise of the Moors, because it's time for the United States to prove to the native Moors and to the rest of the world that democracy and respect for sovereign independence has meaning and not just some empty words. Respectfully, Abdul Smith Bey, Chairman of the Wazir Regional Council, Head of State for Lodia Morris Palladium, Ante, Georgia. Islam.
All right. So, I want to thank the brother Abdul Smith Bey, the chairman of the WRC. It's important to know that the WRC is here to help Moors, right? Which means Moors, if you want help, you have an opportunity to reach out to the WRC to learn how to get into statehood. Right? We'll learn how to become what's called competent Moors. Right? But at the same time, we all have to have some skin in the game that says we're willing to come under the authority of Moroccan law. Right? Even when you're outside playing basketball, you try to make up some rules. Man, you fouled me. Man, that wasn't no foul. But when you play organized basketball, who do you depend on? The referee. And it makes the game more organized, right? So we got to stop calling our own fouls. We need someone to govern the rules between Moors, the laws between Moors, and the law between Moors and Americans. That's the fair thing to ask for. All right? So I want to say thank you to the WRC. Okay? Now, with that being said, this is a contact form, but check this out. Knowledge is free at the WRC. I'll say it again. Knowledge is free at the WRC. Why do I say that? Because, see, international law and understand how to be Moroccan Moors and statehood is free. But you want to continue being a Moorish American? Well, being a Moorish American is going to cost you a fee. So Moors got to choose between what? A fee and free. I think the choice is easy. But I'll make it even clearer for you. I'll say it out loud. Knowledge is free at the WRC. So any Moors reaching out to the WRC, which is this is their direct email address, okay? contact.thewrc@gmail.com. Free information on how to get liberation for your nation. We don't sell packages. We will help you every step of the way for free. Why? Because we're all brothers and sisters. We're all family. Tell me anytime your mother, your father, your uncle, your auntie ever charge you for a plate of food. They don't charge you. So why are we charging each other if we call ourselves family? Prove it if you're family. Prove it. Stop charging Moors. But no worries. Now the Moors have options. Moors are not stuck with the package selling Moors anymore. All the Moorish Americans can petition the WRC to start getting knowledge for free. That must be understood. So, okay, so right here we got, please contact the WRC. Facebook is Wazir Council. So all the Moors need to go to Wazir Council and do a friend request. Because through the Facebook, we'll start to get into communications with all the Moors. This is considered your centralized government. The WRC will act as a hub and spoke. And we'll teach you everything you need to know from A to Z for free. Even when you get into statehood and you sit at the WRC as heads of state, we will show you how to write a consular court order for free. We will show you how to write Moroccan legislation for free. We will teach you how to be a head of state. We'll show you how to be the Speaker of the House. We'll show you how to be Consul General. We'll show you how to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We'll show you how to be every role within the government for free. Why? Because governments don't charge you to learn how to be who you are in the government. In the government, you can't accept what's called emoluments. Government officials can't accept money. Moroccan officials will not be accepting money. It's called emoluments. Can't accept emoluments from the public, meaning you can't get donations. The people from the public depend on you being a public officer. You took an oath to your state to help the people. And the state turns around and compensates you. You don't ask the people to give you no donation. The state takes care of you. And we will get to a point where the state is providing monies for the officers and the nationals through the trust. We'll get there. All right, so okay, Morris, go to Facebook, Wazir Council, do a friend request. Here's the email address. If you need to contact any of the states, if you even try to contact AMPAC study session, go to this centralized email. This is the email for all boards. This is where you get the answers to the test. right? This is your library right here of knowledge, the wisdom of the Wazir Regional Council, the heads of states. They got the answers to the test. All right? Website coming soon, YouTube coming soon. Okay, Morris? All right. So, like I mentioned, the WRC, the Wazir Regional Council, has also put together a Supreme Court, right? Judges, Moroccan judges, right, with feathers on, will be sitting at this Supreme Court. That's the seal. It was ratified the same way, right? These 7 steps. I want to say thank you to the Sayyid Raha, the Speaker of the House, all of the WRC members, the legislative branch, for ratifying the RSC, the Regional Supreme Court. That way we can govern the Moors and govern the United States of America in dealing with courts, okay? All right, so this right here, you can read more about this later on. We will make this public. This document right here, this has approximately 70 articles, 70. If you go back and look at the Wazir Regional Convention, right, it has 111 articles, okay? So this has 70 articles. More to get a copy of this. This will be on the Wazir Regional Council, either Facebook or the on Facebook or YouTube, something. We'll get it out to the Moors, okay? We'll talk about how we're going to make it public, okay? We'll talk about that. So the Wazir Regional, or shall I say the Regional Supreme Court for the Moors, right, when we deal with disputes, this is what it's going to look like one day. This right here is the ICJ image, okay? But I'm trying to give you a futuristic look of what it's going to look like in the very near future when Moors are sitting at the Regional Supreme Court. These will be Moors wearing fezzes within the Empire of Morocco to govern and settle disputes between Moroccan states, right? And then we have to get involved with trying to settle disputes between Moor and Moor, right? We'll try to settle these things amongst each other, okay? All right, so one of these days we're also going to be at the ICJ. So that's an image when we as Moors, as Moroccan states, we come together, we will be at the ICJ. So one of these days we'll be sitting right there, right? In front of these judges, okay? But in the Empire of Morocco, just imagine these were Moors right here dealing with Moorish disputes, okay? Now before I leave this page, let me show you something, Moors. Look what's at the ICJ. You see that painting? This is what France donated to the ICJ. That painting is like 15 feet by 20 feet. You see it right here? You Moors can look this up on Google. It's a Moor standing at the top, right? With other men to his left and his right, but he's wearing all red. This is a Moor, because France knows it's all about the Moroccan Empire. Because France was overseeing the Moroccan Empire through what's called the French Zone, right? Treaty of Fez 1912, France was overseeing the entire Moroccan Empire. So France donated this image because they know it should be the Moors overseeing courts and the charter. So they're paying homage to these Moors. That's similar to, right, you see this rock? That's like the Rock of Gibraltar, right there. See, France knows what time it is. They know the Moors are coming back one day. And guess who else knows it? United States of America. So they've just been waiting for us to be competent Moors, okay? I just wanted to show the Moors that image. Go and Google it. You'll see it yourself, okay? All right, let's move on. Okay. So what is the true purpose at the end of the day on why we need a Wazir Regional Council? And so we can reign in the order, Moors. We got to reign in the order of Moors, and we got to reign in the order of colonists, right? So sometimes you hear me say something, we got to deal with colonists and obstructionists. Because the word colonist and obstructionist has no face. Okay? It's an action. And sometimes we're going to have to deal with Moors who are somewhat acting up. And that's okay. We got to settle disputes one way or another, right? Okay. So as I've been building up, we got to talk about a learning opportunity. What do I have up here on the board? This is a group of Moors who purport to have a Moroccan state. This is who you call Unami Buffalo Nation. So first of all, I want to say thank you to Unami Buffalo Nation's Moors for at least attempting to get into Moroccan statehood. But today I have to expose the do's and don'ts for Moors who coming into Moroccan statehood, because Unami Buffalo Nation is an excellent case study, right? We can learn a lot about a lot of mistakes they've made, right? Whether knowingly or unknowingly. So we have to expose these things, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is AMPAC study session. This is an educational platform. We're here to learn as Moors between ourselves, right? This isn't about throwing Unami Buffalo Nation under the bus, but we have to talk about these learning opportunities on what we should do right versus what we have been doing wrong. And unfortunately, Unami Buffalo Nation been doing a lot of things wrong while they've been trying to get into statehood. So we have to point these things out, because if we don't, then we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes again. So I want all the Moors out there to learn from Unami Buffalo Nation's mistakes. Learn the fact that Unami Buffalo Nation, because of those mistakes, they've delayed their own justice. And at this time, they're not being recognized as a Moroccan state. I'm just trying to give you a brief, okay? And let's learn why. That way other Moors don't make these mistakes, okay? That's what AMPAC study session is all about. Pointing out the problems and then what? Solutions, okay? All right, so this is Unami Buffalo Nation, okay? This is images of them, their inauguration. If you go to their website, right here in the middle, we'll talk about that, okay? All right, but like I said, they made a lot of mistakes, and that's why we're using Unami Buffalo Nation as a learning tool to learn from it, okay? Before I go deeper into this, two things. One, we're going to watch a video in a little while about the Wazir Regional Council was talking about Unami Buffalo Nation. That was one of their agenda items, to start to rein in the order through the power of the Wazir Regional Council. Of those heads of states have been trying to negotiate by utilizing Article 33 of the Charter, right? So Article 33 of the Charter, the Wazir Regional Council of heads of state have been trying to work with Unami, okay, by utilizing Article 33, okay, which is international law, which is the parties of any dispute, the continuance of which is likely to endanger the maintenance of international peace and security, shall first of all seek a solution. So the WRC was trying to seek solutions with Unami Buffalo Nation, but things haven't been working out. So we're going to continue to work with them one step at a time, but we're going to watch a video on how the WRC is dealing with Unami. We'll learn about that in real time, okay? So right now we're seeking negotiations, inquiry, and mediation, all right, and conciliation. But at some point, the WRC will get directly into arbitration, then eventually judicial settlement. Okay? We're learning about that, okay? All right. So the second thing I want to point out, okay, here's the first mistake that Unami made, and this is what Moors have to learn. The package selling days are behind us. That's the old paradigm. We got to stop charging each other to learn about our own history. We got to stop this, okay? So on Unami's Facebook, on their website, they got a donation tab, right? And if you click on it, okay, if you click on it, it goes directly to a Cash App. This is sad. We're supposed to be competent officials of a state. You don't have a Cash App on your government website. You know what this is called? Moorish American mentality. So Moorish American mentality, keep charging Moors. This has to stop. So don't put this on your website, Moors. Don't do that, okay? That's blasphemy. Do not put donation buttons on your website for your government. Your government collects taxes, and the taxes then compensate the officers of the state. But the officers of the state should be asking people to donate to the officers. The officers are supposed to be looking out for the people. The money will come, Moors. You have to give it some time, okay? So no donations. That's the first mistake, okay? So, speaking of donations, guess what? There's a Moor that claims to be the Moorish American police, I guess. I don't know what you call it. His name is Cujo. Good brother Cujo. What's up, Cujo? Now, Cujo likes to point out when Moors are charging other Moors, right? That's Cujo's thing, right? So, Cujo, do me a favor, good brother Cujo. Do me a favor, good brother Cujo. When you see things like this with Moroccan states, call it out. Do me that favor, good brother Cujo. Call it out when you see it. Because this is blasphemy. This has to stop. Now, me and Cujo might not agree on a lot of things, but one thing me and Cujo agree upon, that this package selling more thing got to stop. All right? So do that for me, Cujo. But first, Cujo, I'm asking you to do me another favor. Since I want you to call out people who charging, wait a minute. Let me show you something, Cujo. Let me show you something. Start with RV Bay Publication. Okay, good brother Cujo, because you can't be a hypocrite. Start with RV Bay Publication and tell RV Bay Publication to stop charging Moors. Okay, you got to start there, good brother Cujo. Okay, before you call out the Moroccan states, because I want you to call out the Moroccan states. But start with RV Bay Publications first. They charge Moors to learn about Moorish history and law. This is shameful. So start there, good brother Cujo, okay? Because one thing I know about RV Bay Publications, if you go to the bottom of their page, they're all about their finance, good brother Cujo. So please call out RV Bay Publications, because they're all about their cash app, money orders, right? But yet the Moors will say the fiat is fake. But yet Moorish American teachers can't wait for you to give them some cash app fiat. It don't make no sense, right? But wait, why isn't good brother Cujo calling out RV Bay Publications? Well, maybe because Canaland is probably a vendor. Canaland is probably a vendor on RV Bay Publications. So Cujo is not calling out RV Bay Publications because RV Bay Publications and Cujo are in cahoots, right? Cujo don't want nobody to go anywhere else to spend no money unless they spend money with RV Bay Publications. That's why he calls everybody out. He wants everybody to go to RV Bay Publications because he himself is a vendor. Okay? I'm just pausing right here. So you click on Canaland Moors. Cujo got his own link, right? Good brother Cujo, my brother. He's been calling out everybody. There he is. Good brother Cujo. Now Cujo lives where? Canaland. But where's Canaland? Canada. So does that make him a Moorish American or does that make him a Moorish Canadian? I think he's a Moorish Canadian, right? Because he's in Canada. A Moorish Canadian with a Jamaican accent. Boy, I tell you, boy. Okay, good brother Cujo. All right, Cujo, but wait a minute, Cujo. What? Hold up, Cujo. Hold up, Cujo. Cujo on RV Bay Publication is selling rap albums, but look what else he got on here. Check it out. The Iron Sheik has an array of conscious music and music videos. Check them out at his YouTube site. So there's a YouTube site. This right here, to make a donation or purchase music, email that email. But wait a minute, Cujo is asking for donations. But he's calling everybody out about them having a donation tab on their website. He's calling people out about the fact they're charging Moors for money, but yet Cujo himself wants donations. Cujo, good brother, you're a hypocrite. But at the same time, I still want you to call out the Moroccan states who are charging people because this has to stop. But at the same time, you got to stop being a hypocrite because you yourself asking for donations. Okay? All right, good brother. The Iron Sheik is still a naturalized Moorish subject in the jurisdiction of Canada. Unfortunately, good brother, you're still Dred Scott. So you're not a Grand Sheik, you're not the Iron Sheik, you're just Dred Scott, good brother. So I know you've been talking about AMPAC on your YouTube channel. All thing I can say is thank you. That's good marketing advertisement. You keep putting AMPAC on your YouTube channel. You got about what, 22,000 subscribers. So that's good marketing advertisement for AMPAC. So I think you got 3 videos on AMPAC. Keep going, brother. Try to do 100 AMPAC classes on Canaland. All right. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on. All right. That's good marketing advertising. I appreciate that, brother. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get back to it, okay? Do's and don'ts of Moroccan statehood, okay? All right, so first of all, I want to say thank you to these Moors, but at the same time, we got to point out their flaws because we can't keep making these mistakes, okay? So these Moors had an inauguration, okay? That's their group. That's the button you press for their inauguration, okay? Listen, what mistake did they make? Their second mistake was this. Unami Buffalo Nation was claiming 3 different territories. They're claiming Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. These are Moors claiming 3 colonial jurisdictions. What does that look like? Okay, here we go. So they was claiming Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. 3 different jurisdictions. This is no bueno, right? It's a violation of international law. We'll get into that in just a minute. But the Moors of Delaware were the judge of the state. Good brother Nasir Bey lives in Delaware. Guess who else lives in Delaware? Sharon Tracy Bey, right? Sharon, we all know who Sharon is. Yes, Sharon. She lives in Delaware as well. And they all decided to get together and claim New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Well, why is that? Let's get into the mindset of why they were thinking like that. Well, I wrote on the board, I gave the answer to the test. You see, the population of Delaware is only 1 million population. See the 1 million, 1M? But the population of New Jersey is 9 million population. And Pennsylvania's got 13 million population. So your brother Nasir Bey and Sharon Bey decided to say, let's claim all this, and now all of a sudden we got 23 million as a population overnight, because that's what they wrote in their original constitution. They were claiming all 3 of these territories, so that overnight they went from 1 million population to 23 million overnight. You know what that's called? Greed. Let's just call it like it is. Instead of them simply just restoring a constitution for Delaware and overseeing, governing over 1 million, they want to jump to 23 million overnight. It's unacceptable, and we can't do that as Moors. Okay, now imagine this. Imagine if New York, the New York Moors had woke up one day and say, you know what? We woke up first, so we're going to claim Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and they're going to turn around and claim, just for the heck of it, Delaware, because they only got 1 million, right? So the New York Moors said, yeah, we're going to claim all that jurisdiction, right? Don't you think the Pennsylvania Moors would be upset with New York Moors if New York Moors claimed this area before the Pennsylvania Moors woke up? Don't you think the Delaware Moors would be upset if they found out the Pennsylvania Moors claimed Delaware before the Delaware Moors woke up? Well, see, Unami Buffalo Nation did just that. Before the New Jersey Moors and the Pennsylvania Moors could wake up, the Delaware Moors claimed all this through a constitution. We can't do that. It's a violation of international law. Okay, but that's what Unami Buffalo Nation decided to do. And they literally put it on their banner, their seal, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante Delaware, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. The audacity. Now, for the record, I just want everybody to know, I did reach out to these group of Moors probably 6, 7, 8, 10 months before they did this, and I said to them, I said, you can't do that. It's a violation of international law. I tried to use mediation. I tried to use any means of communication, right? Because I shared with them this. I said, you know what? You Moors don't understand the definition of uti possidetis juris, which is international law. I tried to teach them, but they didn't listen. They moved forward and still claimed three jurisdictions. So, uti possidetis juris means uti possidetis. Uti possidetis juris is a well-set-up norm of customary international law and a substantive principle within the scope of International Court of Justice. The purpose and principle of uti possidetis juris is to help avoid borderline and boundary disputes, conflict, fratricidal suffrage, or confusion that results in mediation, arbitration, and judicial pacific settlements of disputes between states, right? So uti possidetis in international law means you can only claim one colonized territory that you live in. So the Delaware Moors could only claim Delaware. They could not cross over a boundary line that the colonists put together and claim New Jersey and Pennsylvania. It's a violation of international law. I tried to explain this. They were reluctant. They didn't listen. They moved forward with a public inauguration anyway, claiming all three territories. And after their public inauguration, okay, after that public inauguration, let's listen to it, about maybe a minute or two. Listen.
Will now be Buffalo Nation. I'll take Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania's inauguration. I am the Chief Kazi, Judge for Unami.
Okay, let's play that again.
All right, thank you all for coming. And this is starting the ceremony, y'all. I want to thank you all for coming to our first annual Unami Buffalo Nation. I'll take Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania's inauguration. I am the Chief Kazi, Judge for Unami. My name is Sam.
So as you can see, in their own public inauguration, they claim three jurisdictions, Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, which is a violation of international law. But the reality is as to why they did it, and let's just be honest with ourselves, because all the Moors are highly intelligent people. We know why they did it. It's because they want the 13 million population, the 1 million population, and the 9 million population, and created 23 million in population overnight instead of having 1 million. The good brother you heard speaking in the public inauguration lives in Delaware. That's my good brother. I talk to him all the time, but he was reluctant in just taking wise counsel that I prove with reference points as to why they should not do it, but they did it anyway. Right? So I get no satisfaction from talking about this, but we got to use it as a learning and teaching moment, right? Because I love all the Moors, but we family, and sometimes we got to point out what family done done wrong. It just is what it is, okay? So guess what? Guess who came in to deal with mediation after I spoke to these Moors? I brought in the WRC, okay? I brought in the WRC, okay? They talked to Unami Buffalo Nation, okay? So the Wazirs, the WRC spoke to these group of Moors and say, hey, y'all can't do that. That's a violation of international law of uti possidetis juris. But guess what? Guess what else was it a violation of? Listen, erga omnes parties, which is also international law. Listen. No.
Erga omnes parties. Erga omnes means in relation to all or dispute with all. The term is used in international law as the state's right to defend against foreigners that trespass against another state, and its national human rights via the peremptory norms of international law, jus cogens. The ICJ recognizes erga omnes principles as a means to enforce state rights against any foreign state, international organization, organs, agents, or third parties that trespass on or against the property, territory, or frontier of a successor state.
Okay, so erga omnes parties means that when you try to trespass against another state's rights, right? Against another state's rights, if the Delaware Moors try to encroach upon the New Jersey Moors' territory, that's a violation of erga omnes parties, because the Delaware Moors are taking away the human rights of the New Jersey Moors' opportunity to declare their own independence. So the Delaware Moors are basically acting like occupiers, settlers, to take over this land. Moors, we can't do that. It's a violation of human rights. It's a violation of peremptory norms of international law. Moors, we just can't start claiming 4 and 5 different territories at one time. You take away the right for the Pennsylvania Moors to wake up and have a public inauguration and declare their independence and write a constitution and go through all the proud moments and steps, right, of decolonization. Right? We can't do that to each other. It's trespass. Moors are trespassing on other Moors already. And this will stop. Why? First of all, it's a violation of international law. What's the other reason why it will stop? Why will this trespass stop? Okay, I'll show it to you. Because these heads of state. And this list will grow. It go from 6 states to 12 states to 18 states, 24 states, 30 states, 36 states. It'll keep growing. And this type of belligerence that Moors have been trying thus far will stop. So the WRC is needed in order to stop Moors from violating other Moors' rights, right? The WRC was successful in stopping the Delaware Moors from claiming all this territory. And because they had a conversation with them, guess what happened? Let me show you the result of it. Now those same Delaware Moors turned around and changed the Constitution from saying ante Delaware and ante New Jersey and ante Pennsylvania. Now they're only claiming Pennsylvania, one state. But wait a minute. They're the Delaware Moors now trying to claim Pennsylvania as one state. They say, well, we can't claim 3. Let's claim the one that's got 13 million as a population instead of them sticking with the 1 million population of Delaware. So the Delaware Moors, right, the Delaware Moors, because this is where Sharon lives. Sharon and the judge, good brother Nasir Bey, I love Nasir, but I got to talk about this, good brother. You as the judge, and Sharon as the so-called Minister of Foreign Affairs, is claiming to be the competent authority over Pennsylvania. This is shameful. And guess what else? The Wazir, the head of state of Unami Buffalo Nation, guess where he lives? In New Jersey. So the Wazir, the head of state, is claiming he lives in New Jersey, but he's the head of state over Pennsylvania. This is shameful. Why are we doing this to each other as Moors? Why would the Moors in Delaware and New Jersey think they can just trample over the rights of the Moors of Pennsylvania, all because the Moors of Pennsylvania haven't woke up yet? So now the Delaware Moors, New Jersey Moors want to claim a 13 million population instead of just simply claiming their own 1 million population. This is sad, and we got to talk about it. This can't happen, Moors. It's trespass. The Delaware Moors are trespassing on the Pennsylvania Moors. And the WRC is looking out for the Pennsylvania Moors. That's what's happening right now. All right? So we're going to listen to an 11-minute video about the WRC and how they're dealing with it. Okay? Okay, so right here you'll see Mr. Abdul Smith Bey, chairman of the WRC, right? Speaking directly in this document to Mr. Brahim Bey of Unami Buffalo Nation, a non-recognized state. We don't recognize them as a state. They don't qualify. They're belligerent. Okay? All right, so we're going to listen to this. It's 11 minutes.
Peace, love, and prosperity to all of humanity. I am Abdul Smith Bey, elected chairman of the WRC and head of state of Alodia Morris Parade in Monte, Georgia. Corresponding with the Wazir of Unami Buffalo Nation, Mr. Brahim Ilim Pindar Bey. And as we continue, I would like to introduce all the heads of state of the WRC, beginning with Alodia Morris Parade, Ante, Colorado. You may introduce yourself.
My name is DeAndre J. Bay. I'm Wazir Reyes for Alodia Morris Parade, Ante, Colorado.
My name is Amir Hassan El, Wazir for Alodia Morris Peridium of the Mecca.
I am Akil Zafan Yazin Bey, Wazir Al-Rez of Nauru State Republic.
I am Mia Moore Bay, Wazir Arez, Alodia, Morocco, William, Ante, Michigan.
Brother Kendon,
I'm Kendon Becky, Wazir Arez, here to state for Diamites, Labor, Morocco, Prius 6.
today is April 26, 2023, and I shall begin the reading of the non-recognition of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. Please scroll. Mr. Brahim Bey, it has come to the attention of the Wazir Regional Council member states that your group of Moors is proclaiming to be a competent government known as Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. Unfortunately, the notion of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania being a competent Moroccan state government is hereby rejected by the member states of the Wazir Regional Council on the merits listed below. First, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania has failed to reach the basic requirements of statehood, whereas some of its so-called elected officials are living outside of the borders of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. For example, the so-called Qazi Chief Judge, Mr. Nasir Bey, permanently lives in the colonial territory of Delaware and does not live within the dominion of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. Any so-called elected official living outside of a newly formed state is a violation of their constitution and contradicts the customary norms of who is eligible to become an elected official of the state. Therefore, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania is void of a competent judicial branch authority. For this reason, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania cannot be recognized as a competent government or state in the Empire of Morocco, and anything to the contrary is void ab initio. Secondly, appointed officials cannot live outside of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. For example, the so-called Haji, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Yeshrin Bey, permanently lives in the colonial territory of Delaware and does not live within the dominion of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. Any so-called appointed official living outside a newly formed state is a violation of their constitution and contradicts the customary norms of who is eligible to become an appointed official of the state. Therefore, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania is void of a competent authority for the office of Haji, Minister of Foreign Affairs. For this reason, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania cannot be recognized as a competent government, and anything to the contrary is void ab initio. Third, the so-called elected and appointed officials of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania have failed to perform a public inauguration regarding the newly formed so-called state of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania. Therefore, the so-called elected and appointed officials of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania cannot be recognized because they have failed to publicly recognize themselves as the authorized authority of the state. For this reason, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania cannot be recognized as a competent government or state in the Empire of Morocco, and anything to the contrary is void ab initio. Fourth, the so-called Haji, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Yeshrin Bey, is in breach of your constitution regarding emoluments. The term emolument means a salary, fee, or profit from employment or office. It is important to note that elected and appointed officials of competent Moorish states are constrained from using the office for personal gain and receiving emoluments. Whereas Ms. Yeshrin Bey is currently marketing and advertising herself as a consultant, quote unquote, on her personal website known as, quote, MoorishAmericanConsulate.org, end of quote. The personal website proclaims that Ms. Yeshrin Bey is assisting Moors with Moroccan nationality, statehood, and other forms of governmental reforms. Ms. Yeshrin Bey requires 60-minute sessions, quote unquote, and an online prepayment of $70 before an appointment can be booked or confirmed for her consultation sessions. Ms. Yeshrin Bey's acts are not only a breach of her constitution, but her actions also place a bright light on her lack of morals and ethics for expecting emoluments by egregiously charging vulnerable Moors to discuss pertinent reforms relating to statehood. Also, it appears as if Ms. Yeshrin Bey is still in the mind frame of being a quote-unquote package-selling Moorish American. For this reason, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, and its so-called Haji, Minister of Foreign Affairs, cannot be recognized as trusted or competent government officials of a state, and anything to the contrary is notwithstanding. Fifth, according to the most recent 41-minute video publicly displayed on Unami Buffalo Nation's Ante, Pennsylvania website, it appears as if Unami is proclaiming itself to be the competent authority to assist other non-self-governing territories that are seeking independence through the administrative process on how to achieve competent statehood status. For example, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, has disclosed that they are working with various Moors located in the colonial territories known as Florida, Minnesota, Ohio, etc. It is important to note that Unami is falsely acting under the guise of being a competent group of Moors that can assist other non-self-governing territories. The notion that Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania is qualified to assist non-self-governing territories is patently false, arbitrary, and capricious, whereas these misleading acts can lead to punitive damages and legal actions caused by Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, and its affiliates. Whereas the member states of the WRC have classified the Moors of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania as being incompetent. Wherefore the Moors of Unami have not achieved a level of basic or fundamental understanding of what protocols are required for Moors to achieve competent statehood standing or recognition. Therefore, the colonial territory shall continue to be recognized as a non-self-governing territory until further notice. Moreover, everything that Unami proclaims to know about statehood is being imitated, impersonated, and adopted from the knowledge base of the member states of the Wazir Regional Council. Furthermore, Unami is attempting to fool other Moors into believing that they are acting in good faith to assist other Moors. But in fact, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, is acting in bad faith as rogue Moors that are only interested in creating consultation fees, cash app processes, and adversarial divisions against the member states of the WRC. The belligerent and insolent actions of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, are counterproductive and continue to compromise the strength of our interdependent Moroccan states and the bond of confidence and trust that holds us together. We, the Moors of Morocco, are only as strong as our weakest link, and unfortunately, the Moors of Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, have continued to prove themselves as being the weakest link within our nationalism and decolonization movement. For this reason, Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, and its officials cannot be recognized as trusted or competent government officials of a state without prejudice. In conclusion, the Wazir Regional Council derives its authority and regional oversight of the Empire of Morocco from a ratified, deposited, and promulgated convention in the Empire of Morocco Wazir Regional Convention, in harmony with the Regional Supreme Court of the WRC Convention, see attached. Wherefore the member states of the WRC stand on principles, moral character, and ethics, and extends its willingness to seek a solution to resolve any miscommunications, lack of understanding, or mistakes made by either of the parties. Nonetheless, the Wazir Regional Council will pursue every attempt to settle the matter of what appears to be a false start by the Moors in Pennsylvania. Nevertheless, the member states of the Wazir Regional Council hereby request for Unami Buffalo Nation, Ante, Pennsylvania, to cease any notion of being a competent or recognized provincial state government in the Empire of Morocco until the Wazir Regional Council can validate your so-called state status. Respectfully, Abdul Smith Bey, Chairman of the Wazir Regional Council, Head of State for Alodia Morris Palladium, Ante, Georgia. Islam.
Islam, good, chairman. All right. So the reason why the WRC had to get involved is because Unami Buffalo Nation is just belligerent, right? They're a rogue group of Moors. They're not a group of state Moors, they're just a group of Moors, right? They're not recognized as being a state. And right now, they're starting to petition to other Moors across the continent, right, from the East Coast to the West Coast, as if Unami Buffalo Nation can help other Moors and other territories to become competent Moroccan state officials, but yet the Moors of Unami Buffalo Nation themselves are incompetent, right? So that's what the WRC said, okay? So what else was the WRC talking about? They were talking about Yasharon. Right? This is what the chairman was talking about, okay? Yasharon, who's proclaiming to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Unami, right, has a personal website called MoorishamericanConsulate.org. But she so-called took an oath to a Moroccan state to be the competent authority of Unami, while simultaneously advertising herself to still be affiliated with the Moorish American Consulate. This is a double standard. You cannot say you're Moorish, you can't say you're part of a Moorish American Consulate and you're a Moroccan Moor that took an oath to your state. Sharon will tell you that she took an oath to renounce any allegiance to the United States of America, but yet her website says she's affiliated with an American Consulate. This is ridiculous. But why is she keeping this personal website? Because it generates finance. Listen. So on her website, not the government website, she's got her own personal website. And this is what the WRC was talking about, right? So right here, right next to her face, you click on this, says consultation with Yasharon Akasha Il Rose Bay, right? You click on it, and it opens up to a calendar. Okay? So she's scheduling meetings with Moors to learn about Moroccan statehood, and guess what else she's doing? She's charging them, utilizing the skill sets and the knowledge that AMPAC study session taught her, and what she learned from the WRC heads of states. Now Yasharon is starting to put together packages to sell what it is AMPAC study session has been given away for free. Sharon is packaging what the WRC taught her, and Unami, she's starting to package it and sell it. It's not for sale. Okay, so what is she doing? She's making Moors book, right, consultations with Yasharon. 60-minute appointments. Right here, you see, you click right here, it says show more. Watch this, Moors. This is shameful. Look what it says. Look at what it says. Look at this. Look, this is shameful. This is blasphemy. No.
Islam Moroccan National. Before you book your appointment, please send the fee via Cash App or Zelle. Please use email address YasharonAkashaElRosebay@gmail.com when transferring funds with Zelle. When you select the time and date, put the payment transaction number in the comments section. Consultations are $35 per half hour to be sent through Cash App or Zelle to secure the scheduled appointment date. All payments will be verified prior to consultation, so please make sure to send before the scheduled date and time. Pax et Amor, Yasharon Akasha El Rose Bay, the Yasharon Mobile Star Academy.
So she's trying to establish an academy and charging Moors information that AMPAC study sessions already given away for free. She's trying to package information that the WRC has already taught her for free. Now she's packaging it, charging Moors. Now it says $35, look, it says $35 per half hour, but the reality is you gotta book a 60-minute session, see? So it contradicts itself already. As soon as you click on there, you think you'll get a 30-minute, no, it's an hour. Automatic, she books you for an hour, so that's what? $70 an hour. she's charging Moors to learn about their own liberation. This is sad, right? But look what Moors are doing. This is her calendar. Look how it's filling up. This was Friday, it filled up. So she's got 6 blocks, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At $70 a piece per hour. So $70 per hour, 6 hours. So 6 times 7 is 42. That's $420 a day she's making off of charging Moors to learn about their own liberation from their occupation, to charge them something that AMPAC study session taught her for free. Now look, she was all booked up. Today, the 27th, she's booked up. She's booked up on Friday. That's $70. Each one of these lines represents $70. Right? The rest of the week, she's already booking up, right, for the 30th, and she'll keep booking up. And these Moors are paying it, right? So I'm not mad at the Moors who paying her. They don't realize that they don't have to pay to play to learn about international law or statehood. They don't know that you can get knowledge for free at the WRC. They don't know that yet, but they're going to learn today, right? We got to stop doing this, Moors. This is blasphemy that we're turning around charging Moors. And look what she says right here. All payments will be verified prior to consultation. So please make sure to send before the scheduled date and time. She won't even talk to you until she sees the money in her account. This is sad. It's got to stop. Right? But by her being a so-called officer of her state, she claimed to be the Minister of Foreign Affairs of UNAMI, but according to her constitution, she cannot accept emoluments. What's emoluments? Okay. Nova?
Emolument, a noun, formal emoluments, a salary, fee, or profit from employment or office.
So she's charging Moors to learn about statehood, but yet she herself is a so-called public official that's charging the general public to learn about something she's supposed to tell them for free because she took an oath to a constitution to represent the people. But yet she's telling the people to pay her to learn about what she's supposed to be doing for them.
On a Moorish American Consulate website.
On a Moorish American Consulate website. This is blasphemy. Right? This is what we got to learn from this, Moors. This is called the do's and don'ts. So as Moors start coming to this Moroccan movement, you must understand there will be standard operating procedures in dealing with all Moors that's coming into statehood. Right? All the Moors will be governed. I will be governed by Moroccan law. All of us have to abide by law equally. Okay, this is what we got to understand. Okay, so as I start to close out, the Wazir Regional Council is vital for our survival. You cannot leave Moors here that do not have laws to govern each other. Who's going to call the foul? You need a referee to make it organized. This is why they call it organized jural society. Right? So please understand, Moors. As this list continues to grow of all the heads of state, right? So California's head of state will become a part of the Wazir Regional Council, right? Florida's head of state become a part of the Wazir Regional Council. All the Moors have a right, if they're head of state, to be a part of this council so we can govern the entire empire. All right, so we'll talk about this more in class 102, but before I close out, let me say this on the board. So today we'll learn about what? The Charter of the United Nations, Chapter 6, Article 33, right? About the Pacific settlement of disputes. So Moors will learn how to settle disputes amongst ourselves. The WRC is in itself an intervention, a declaration of intervention. The WRC and all its 111 articles is a declaration of intervention so we can intervene between disputes between Moors, as well as start to mediate with the United States International Organization. Okay? So to settle the dispute, we can create a regional agency according to Article 33, right? So the Moors created a regional agency. What type of Moors? Moroccan Moors, right? Competent Moors. Heads of state did that. Through what? Their organic state. So the organic state created an organization That way all the heads of state could come to one round table, okay? So the heads of states create a regional agency in accordance to Article 33 of the Charter. And that regional agency is called the Convention in the Empire of Morocco Wazir Regional Council and the Regional Supreme Court in order to govern over the provisions of the Wazir Regional Councils. All right? So we'll talk about this more as we continue to move on. Today was class 101. We're in the 101s right now. We're learning the 101s, right? We're in a new chapter, right? A new regime. That way we can now decolonize Morocco, but then organize also in Morocco. I end with that. Islam.
Islam.
Islam.